Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. D stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have probably our most current creepypasta we've tackled yet.
Ooh.
At the beach. We're
not at the beach right now.
No, we aren't at the beach, but that's the title of the story.
Oh. You said that this is the most recent title we've tackled at the beach.
I see the problem there.
Tackled at the beach as well.
That's fair. Yeah, we have yet to record live at a record on site at a beach. Mm-hmm. So maybe we should someday. Like we tried that with Laughing Jack like years ago. We recorded that in the middle of the night in a public park.
Oh yeah.
Because that was like me, Leviathan, and Captain Solanum went out to like a public park, and we recorded our take on that stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
Man, that was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to this story. So yeah, the reason I said that it was like our most current one is because as of this recording, this story came out like 4 or 5 days ago.
It says 7 days ago at the top.
Yeah, 7 days. Yeah, sorry.
It's probably 4 days ago when you read it.
Yeah. It came out about 7 days ago from when we got this recorded. And it's on Reddit Nosleep by old_watch_1460. And yeah, I'll just dive into the rundown on this story. So 3 years ago, Nair Ator, because again, we don't get a name, and their family went to a popular beachside camp by the sea. Somewhere, it's not specified. A lot of stuff in the story isn't specified. Their younger brother, a sophomore in middle school, was all angsty then and got dragged into this whole like trip by their daddy. When they got there, Nair tried to swim and play with their younger brother, but he wasn't having any of that, and the younger brother went out to the buoy to swim by himself. Nair was enjoying their own swimming until they heard their brother screaming out. Nair went out to their brother's aid and brought him back to shore via he got into a raft or like a dinghy or something and went out and grabbed him. And when he arrived at the buoy where his brother was screaming, he was babbling about something, he was screaming and mumbling about some creepy girl floating in the water. That grabbed him and gnashed his arm, or gnashed really, and gashed his arm with her fingers. And when they got him back to the camp, Nair tried to bandage the wound up, but it was pretty deep. So 2 weeks later, the wound is still festering, or the wound was still festering and getting worse. So Nair took their brother to the doctor. After an operation, the doctor revealed that there was a bundle of hair and raw, fully pulled out fingernails inside the wound. Nair's brother is doing well now, but has never returned to the seaside. Nair isn't sure about the brother's story about a girl on the water, but is creeped out by the thought of the bundle of bloody hair and fingernails that were found in the wound. Also, Daddy is never seen again. Finn.
What?
I put that in as a joke because like the dad is like mentioned at the beginning of the story, and then like Nair just takes over everything.
That's true.
And I'll get into that in my actual thoughts. I have a bit of an issue here because my grammar acquisition and my actual thoughts basically bleed in together. So I have a grammar actual thought segment.
Okay.
Because like there was literally no point. Like most of my notes are grammar inquisition, and there's like a handful of notes that I had for actual thoughts that I was going to use the same like quotes and stuff of that as my grammar acquisition. So I figured it's like there's no point in me rereading a quote in a separate segment.
Okay.
So, also most of the story racks in at about a page and a half. Most of my grammar inquisition is about every other page, every other sentence. Just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
So let's suppose then, without if you guys will allow me to do my grammar inquisition / actual thoughts combo.
Okay.
Sure.
We shall dive into everyone tolerates the grammar inquisition, and they're going to tolerate an actual thoughts segment as well. So, diving into the first line here. Besides us, there were many people who came to camp, and because the sandy beach itself was a popular spot, many people came to play, and it was quite crowded anyway. I think I would just redo this entire sentence. Also, it's a bit tad run-on. So I rewrote it a little bit. So it's, however, many people went to this camp, comma, because the sandy beach below was a popular spot, period. On this visit, comma, many people came to play, and it was quite crowded, period.
Yeah.
My next one here. At that time, my younger brother was a sophomore in middle school, and he had a bit of a rebellion because he was an adolescent boy. So he refused to go, even though it was a family trip. I think I think it should be. He had a bit of a rebellious side. Not he had a bit of a rebellion, like he joined the rebellion to fight the Empire.
Possibly.
Yeah. Just like whenever somebody like talks about like a teen or something like that having like a rebellion, like being a rebel against like the norms and stuff like that, it's usually like they have a bit of a rebellious side. So
yeah.
And next one here. Daddy forced him into the car and brought him to the campsite. After arriving, he was still sulking. So I retooled the story or retooled this sentence a little bit. Daddy forced him into the car, bringing him with us to the campsite. Even upon arrival, he was still sulking. Just because, like that, the last part of it just seemed like it was, I don't know, it bugged me.
It's a tiny sentence. The second part.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's fair.
And then my next one here. I asked my younger brother to swim and play together, but he fell alone. Walked on the gravel under the cliff, and went out to a buoy in the sea and swam alone. What? He fell alone? Okay, let me try and fix this. I asked my younger brother that we should... Oh, okay. Sorry. I asked my younger brother if we should swim and play together, but all he wanted was to be alone, period. He walked on the gravel under the cliff, where he eventually went out to the buoy in the sea and swam around there alone. Just sort of adding a few little extra bits to kind of like make it a little bit more coherent. So it's not sort of the original sentence was kind of jank for me.
Yeah.
And
this was really janky. I even have a rewrite based on my actual thoughts.
Okay.
But he fell alone, off of the cliff and into the sea. But he didn't quite make it, so he walked on the gravel the rest of the way to the sea.
With a head wound.
Because, they're talking about a cliff, and then they're talking about falling.
Yeah, like, I again, it was just kind of like, it seems really weird, like, this seems like, the story in itself, I'm just going to say it now, it kind of feels like either a very first rough draft, or perhaps English may not be this person's first language.
Possibly.
Just like based on like some of the issues and errors that keep popping up, like it feels like something like that was very rushed and just posted, or they tried their best, sort of thing. So, but either way, we're going to try and help them make the story sound better. And with moving on to my next one, when I got closer to him in a rubber boat, and I found him hanging from the buoy, trembling his body with a pale face. I removed the "and" in the middle there, and perhaps changed the ending to read, So when I got closer to him in a rubber boat, I found him hanging from the buoy, his body trembling and his face pale.
Yeah. I also rewrote it as I found him hanging from the buoy, his body trembling, face pale as a ghost.
It's a little bit extra description.
My rewrite was exactly the same as yours, Cultist. Like, word for word.
Wow.
Yes. Also, the way that it was originally written, it kind of sounds like he is trembling his own body. Like,
trembling his body with a pale face.
I found him hanging on the buoy, trembling his body, like he's purposefully doing it.
Yeah, like he's flailing in the water. And I mean, if that's the case, that trembling is not the right word. It should be like he's like flailing his body with a pale face.
If he was trembling his own body, it'd be like he was visibly like making himself look like he's shaking, like fakely or something. But that's not what it's intending to be.
Yeah, at least as far as we can tell.
Yes.
So, but I'll move on to the next one. Hey, why are you cramped in your leg? And to this, I was like, hey, why? Like, it just sounded really odd to me. I know it's dialogue.
Yeah.
But it did sound weird to me. That I was like, hey, why? Like, I feel like it should maybe be like, hey, what's up? Like,
no, his brother's name is Y.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's maybe it could be a slang, like Wyatt. Like it's a nickname for Wyatt. That honestly, that could it would also give the character a fucking name.
Instead of just his brother.
Yeah.
But it probably should be something else.
Yeah. And then
hey,
my
what's
next
going
one
on?
here.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
like,
the other problem I had with that is it's a line of back and forth dialogue that is not tabbed down to the next line, so it kind of all blends together.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole section down like at the very end of the story that I have a beef with about that.
Okay, well, this is just the first instance of it, so that's I noted it.
And to be fair, I totally gapped about this version of it. So
also, before you continue, I had a little mini note in here because the next couple of things he says, like he says, a person pulled my arm, and then Nair says, person who is someone was kidding you, huh? And then wow, it sounds like Tommy Wiseau. Someone was kidding you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know the Nair is Tommy.
So now we know that Old Watch 1460 is actually Tommy Wiseau.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe the little kid's name is what was the young
Mark?
kid's name? No.
Danny.
Was it no?
Yeah, it was Danny.
Danny.
It's actually like on paper, I think it's Danny.
Really?
But the way Wiseau says it, it's Denny.
Wow, I learned a thing. Either way, Denny says a person was also wearing clothes. A child.
Oh, okay, I just googled it. It is Denny, as in DENE. It's like a Denny's.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so sorry, I was wrong. I'll
That's fine. Regardless, Denny basically says a person was also wearing clothes, a child. And I had a note of that to check back later, asking, why is the kid making a big deal that they saw another kid out there wearing clothes? And I hope it goes somewhere. Like, what the hell is the point of this? And after I read the story, it's like, no, it doesn't go anywhere. That was just random. I just don't understand, though.
Yeah. No, it doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, please continue.
Okay. Where am I here? Okay, yeah. So, hey, why? Sorry. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that his brother's left forearm was bleeding profusely. Pretty sure it's supposed to be my brother's left forearm, not his. Like, who? What? And then on to the next one. Then I carried him to the campsite on the cliff, laid him down in the tent, and barely healed his arm. someone plays too many video games and tabletop games, and that person's me.
Yes.
Because
Also-
I definitely read this like in the mindset of like barely healed his arm, a la like he was barely able to heal him using cure light wounds.
Yeah, I wrote the exact same thing. I wrote
We
it
are
also
apparently
that-
in sync today.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I wrote also that barely healed his arm a bit is like, are you a low-level wizard casting cure light wounds or something? You didn't barely heal it, you barely treated it.
Yeah, well, I actually my fix for it was and barely managed to bandage his arm with a first aid kit.
Yeah.
But yeah, also barely managed barely managed to treat it is definitely also a valid fix.
I also brought up something with the lead up sentence to that.
Mhm.
Because it says, I kept trying to ask why this happened, but people, he mumbled like this, and without knowing the reason, I brought him back to the beach. Then I carried him to the campsite on the cliff, laid him down in the tent, and barely treated his arm. The wound was about 2 centimeters long, and it had pierced his arm. So I find that there's some needlessly bland information in there, specifically I took him to the beach, I took him to the campsite. Like, you could just combine it.
Yeah.
So my rewrite is, I kept trying to ask what happened, but all he would mumble was people, and then period. Without knowing the reason, I pulled him into the raft. It's actually not a raft, now that I think about it, because it was
it's a rubber
so it's
a
like
rubber boat. So well, it actually here's the problem. English language sucks.
Okay.
I would use raft to describe a rubber dinghy or a rubber boat, as much as I would use a raft to describe a like a wooden platform out in the water.
Well, either way, it's probably like a Zodiac.
Sure,
Those
I don't
inflatable boats.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever. I pulled him into that. Took him back to the campsite. Period. I did my best to treat his arm, but I don't think I did a very good job since the wound was about 2 centimeters long and it had pierced all the way through the arm. I thought that's what it meant when it said pierced the arm.
Yeah,
that it went all the way through, but it didn't necessarily say that. And after reading the story, I don't think it went clean through the arm like I assumed.
although that would be a lot more dramatic, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of just like a little bit of a 2 centimeter long gash.
Yeah.
Either way, continue.
Okay. And then my next one here is the younger brother said after getting some stability. And again, to my tabletop gaming brain was like he had to roll stability, like because that's the sanity meter in the gumshoe system for like Fear Itself and Esoterrorist, and even Trail of Cthulhu, their gumshoe version of Call of Cthulhu. They roll you roll stability to try and gauge your panic and fear and sanity sort of gauge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like I kind of corrected the story, the sentence to be my younger brother started to speak after he had recovered a little from the experience. Again, sort of builds up the sort of the inner workings of the story a little bit more.
Yeah, I had that one written down as well, and I couldn't think of the right wording to change stability. I just wrote it down as once my younger brother had calmed down and stabilized a bit.
Yeah. Because stabilize could also mean like the way it sounds in the story, it kind of comes off weird, but like it's clear it's trying to be like he stabilized like the wound, like after he like stabilized from like shock or something like that, or even from bleeding out.
Yeah.
And
also,
yes, sir.
Are you going to go into the very next sentence? He said while adroit swimming.
Yep. I got
Okay,
that. I got something for that one.
I had this on the same note because it's kind of like in the same thing. But
it is kind of the same thing. Yeah, but they're separate sentences, so that's why I cut them in parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on to the next one here. He said that while adroit swimming in the sea near the buoy, he saw a child floating on the water nearby. Adroit? I think it means it's supposed to be about. Like he was while swimming, hang on. He said that while Oh fuck! Yeah.
Uh,
Wait, you don't even need a droid. You just like while swimming in the sea near the buoy,
Yes.
he saw a child floating in the water. Now, I suppose that like it would be creepier, or perhaps the child was actually a witch, and that's why he was floating on top of the water.
With the
Um,
wording of that, I assumed it like they were like dead man floating.
yeah, that would also
Yeah.
work too. And actually,
Yeah.
and also, kind of bring it to something you said earlier about like what he was saying. He was saying like people. It could also like this story could have like gone a little bit further and like kind of extrapolate that like he saw more than just he saw the child like floating in the dead man float in the water next to him, staring at him, and he didn't want to stare back. But then like he also maybe saw like people under the water, like grasping for him. Like again, to add it to much more creepy. Like this is like a drowned ghost, like just a pack of drowned ghosts near the buoy.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, a droid's a word?
It is a word.
Because I googled it, and like it turned out a droid is actually a word. It's an adjective, which means clever or skillful in using clever or skillful in using the hands or mind. And like the example that Google gave me was he was adroit at tax avoidance.
So maybe he was adroit at swimming. He skillfully uses his hands to swim.
Yeah, I guess honestly, like yeah. So like yeah, like he was. He said that while adroit swimming, so while skillfully swimming in the sea. Yeah, I guess it's not a wrong word. Like, turns out like that's actually an accurate use of the word. It's just I've never heard adroit before.
It's just strange because there's no other like advanced, quote unquote, advanced words like that in the story. Just here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems I think is like it's such a it just comes out of Left Town so hard for me. Like it practically socks me in the face.
Yeah.
But I'll move on.
Well, before we move on,
I was gonna say I think I wanted to say something ages ago.
Yeah. I corrected it to adrift. So
yeah.
Yeah, he said that while adrift, swimming in the sea near the buoy.
Yeah, that would work as well.
Oh, like adrift, swimming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works too, for sure.
Yeah. And then I took it one step further and went critically silly.
Hell yeah.
No.
And I replaced it with a droid.
While a droid is swimming. Just R2-D2 swimming.
That explains why he's so scared of people.
Yep.
Because he's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
He's droid swimming.
Yeah, he's actually a child companion droid.
It's what was that robot one?
AI
ages ago. No.
Antram.
Yeah.
It's Antram. Antram's returned.
Yes. Isn't that where the
This is set in the 2070s?
Yeah.
The 2070s or the 20. Actually, I think we said it was the 2080s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is a sequel to Antram.
It was Antram.
It was Antram the whole time. Antram were the mistakes we made along the way. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I shall. I'll move on to my next one if that's cool.
Yep.
All right. He said that he thought about how a young child had come here by himself and thought something odd. Maybe it should be. He said that he thought it was strange how a young child had come here by himself, like just to try and like again like that extra bit at the end didn't really need to be there, and like just to kind of spruce it up a little bit at the beginning.
I stumbled over this as well. However, after I thought about it a little bit, it's basically saying he said that he thought about how a young child had come here by himself. And he thought something odd that for some reason, like the thought something odd should be in the next sentence. It shouldn't be in this first one.
Oh, okay.
Because the something that he thought was odd is that for some reason he felt like he shouldn't make eye contact.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that would. Yeah, because there's the whole. Yeah, where's the whole eye contact thing.
Yeah.
That he doesn't want to see it, otherwise he feared he would die,
Yeah,
and he
that
didn't
is
know
the
why he
something
felt
that's
that way.
odd.
Yeah, so that something is odd needs to be like removed from the sentence and put in the beginning of the next one.
Yeah, I read that incorrectly when I first started describing this, but I realized halfway through what I'm trying to say, and yes.
Yeah. All right. And on to the next one. When he opened his eyes, he could saw the child again in half. And if he didn't run away quickly, he felt like he was going to be caught and killed. So first off, yeah, change that saw to a C, like he could see the child again.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, I feel like it should be swim, not run. Like, and if he didn't swim away quickly, he felt like he would be caught and killed.
Yeah, because when I read that, I'm like, good luck running away while you're swimming.
Yeah, like this isn't a Looney Tunes movie. I mean, it might be a Looney Tunes scenario where like he just starts, he like suddenly from fright jumps up out of the water, starts running like along the water like a Looney Tunes character.
Yes. The other correction I had was if he didn't get away quickly. To just remove that entirely and just generalize it.
Yeah, and if he didn't get away quickly, yeah, that would work. And on to the next one here. He kept closing his eyes until he heard my voice. When he opened his eyes with peace of mind at the sound of my voice, a child with a half-melted face was hanging from his brother's left arm. Well, that would be really terrible or really freaky for the guy on the buoy or on the rubber boat, because that's the brother of the brother. And oh god, I've gone cross-eyed.
You what?
So the correction here that I'm trying to make here is that remove brothers and have it be his, because it's the brother in the water's left arm that has the half melted face hanging from it.
Yes.
Not the brother that's in the rubber boat that's coming to his rescue, to the brother's rescue.
Mm.
So yeah. So it should read a child with a half melted face was hanging from his left arm, like just the his. Doesn't need the his brother's left arm, because that's wrong.
Also, editing might hide it, but you had to reread the first part 4 times roughly, so maybe the first part needs to be changed a little bit as well. When he opened his eyes with peace of mind,
Yeah,
the sound.
Yeah. What the hell? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like that. I did find that really strange. With peace of mind at the sound of my voice.
Basically,
it sounded
what it's
really
saying
weird.
is, his eyes were closed because he was scared, but because he heard my voice, he was relaxed enough to open his eyes and see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's trying.
So
to
maybe,
say.
So maybe it should read like here's a sample or a possible change. When he opened his eyes at the sound of my voice, he saw he found he saw a child with a half melted face was hanging from his left arm.
Yeah. Or when he heard my voice, he opened his eyes. The whole peace of mind thing is what confuses all of this.
Yeah, it's just a weird phrasing, and again, like I don't want to poke too much fun at the author, just in case this isn't like English isn't their first language, but this does seem like a really rough first draft of a story.
And I mean, like, the peace of mind part, I understand, because it's saying that it's giving the reason why he opened his eyes, even though it just said that he didn't want to open them.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's weird to read. That's all.
Yeah. No, it's kind of jank to read.
Mm-hmm. Or like, upon hearing the sound of my voice, he felt safe enough to open his eyes.
Yeah. And then the face is there.
And then roll sand.
The child is there. Yeah, and then roll sand. Or roll stability.
Roll stability, yeah.
Yeah. And onto my next one here. If it wasn't for that buoy, I was be dead. I think you want I would be dead.
Yes.
And then my next one. While saying this, my brother cried out loud. But when I hoisted him onto the boat, he had no hair on his body, and the wound on his arm could not be a finger piercing. So I rewrote this a little bit. While saying this, my brother cried out loud, claiming it to be the truth. When I had hoisted him onto the boat, however, he had no hair on his body, and the wound on his arm could not have been pierced by simply fingernails. So I was trying to like kind of fix it a little bit to kind of like have it that like when he pulled the brother onto the boat, like there was no sign of the hair that from the body from the child, and like the wounds were clearly not made from just simple fingernails.
I would suggest a change to the way that the hair is being referenced to. Because when I first read it, it sounded like he had no hair on his body. Like the brother is completely bald everywhere.
You'll notice when I was reading it, rereading it a couple times.
Yeah.
I definitely like had like my head was like, wait, he had no hair on his body? Wait, the brother?
Yeah, it should be like there were no strands of hair on him, like extra hair or foreign hair. I don't know.
Yeah, like there should be some way to like differentiate the hair that it's no hair from said child on my brother's body.
Yeah, there were no loose strands or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something along those lines. Just because, like, otherwise, again, like we're reading it slightly out of context. Like we're reading it like isolated, so like there is context from the previous sentence about it. But
you say that, but
reading it again,
I first read it like he was bald.
Okay, then I never mind.
Yeah, that's how I read it as well. Bald as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because you guys just isolate every sentence while you read anything.
You say that, but earlier on, I asked you if you're going to be reading this one next because I read these two sentences back to back and then commented on them, and you did not.
Oh, did I? I thought you meant another one. Sorry.
Oh,
okay, then.
It's fine.
So I'll move on to the next one. Perhaps it was rare, but there was a fish sharp enough to penetrate even a wetsuit. So I thought he was struck by that. We like to call those fish sharks. But like in seriousness though, like so a slight fix to this. I feel like it should probably be perhaps it was rare, but there was a fish with teeth sharp enough. Because like with a fish sharp enough, like that could be like it was sharp as in like pointy, like ow, it slashed me, or it could be like the fish itself, its body was sharp enough, or that like it was sharp enough as in like clever enough to penetrate a wetsuit.
I don't think smears will get you through a wetsuit, but
yeah,
the thing is like it can't be a bite because it is a singular stab wound. So. First off, I corrected it slightly different. I only changed the front. The perhaps it's rare is what I found was weird. I changed it to thinking about it. There was a ship. Well, wow. Thinking about it, there was a fish sharp enough to penetrate even a wetsuit. So I thought he was struck by that. And then my note in regard to that was, because I previously thought that it was penetrated all the way through. Penetrating a wetsuit is one thing, like just a slash wound or whatever, but going clear through your arm is another. It would have to be a literal swordfish to do a stab wound like that.
Yeah, and again, like they're in the ocean. Like the story clearly states that the water body that they're swimming in is the sea. So it could like thinking about it, it would be really rare, and I didn't see it, but it could have been a swordfish.
Oh, when I say literal swordfish, I mean like it's a sharpened swordfish. I don't know if an actual swordfish could stab you through.
No, they can.
Can they?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can impale you, man.
I don't know anything about
There's a reason it's called a swordfish. That nose is used for spearing fish, like it's prey.
Well, okay, but like a little dinky little
It's not very small, or it's not very small.
Well, I'm saying a dinky little fish that it's going to eat. It doesn't have to spear very far, but going through an entire person's arm?
A spearfish is like half the size of a shark.
Okay.
Like, they are huge. They are big fish. Like, they're like tuna sized.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and again, like, it would be pretty rare.
Yes, however, I guess that could be a thing.
But yeah, on to the next one here. The wound was even festering and swollen to a terrifying degree. When I took him to the hospital, the doctor said that there is probably a foreign object in the wound. So the wound is festering. And to this I was like, it should be was, not is. So the wound was festering, not the wound is festering. Because again, like past tense, present tense, I hate it.
This is before the surgery, though.
No, this is like the doctor said that there is. I still feel like, because it's saying, it's not saying this isn't dialogue. Like this isn't like in quotes dialogue. This is the doctor is saying this thing. Like there was, so it should be that there was probably a foreign object in the wound, so the wound was festering. Because all of this is being done past tense. Not present tense.
In the moment, the doctor is saying, I know what you're saying. It's not dialogue, so yes, but it still feels weird because they're at the point in the story that we're thinking of. At the point of the story that I'm thinking that we're at now, which is before the surgery. Mm-hmm. At that point, the brother's arm is festering. That's why I thought it would be okay to leave it as is, but maybe not.
And I'm going to say a hard no.
That's fine. That is your vice.
Yes, that is my axe to grind. Mm-hmm. In stories is keeping past tense and present tense.
Yes. Did you continue
and then
with the next sentence?
Well, actually, I have I don't know if I continue with the next sentence. I do have my actual thought kind of coupled to this sentence.
I thought that's what you were doing this.
Where the fuck are the parents?
Yep.
Where's Daddy? He took you to the beachside camp, but you rescued your own bro and cared for him for 2 weeks. Even brought him to the doctor weeks later. Your dad just like went on this beach trip and disappeared. There's another mystery in this story. What happened to Daddy?
Well, considering they didn't bring it up, I'm sure it's fine. He probably just got there and he was just hanging out on in the camp, just drinking beer, and he just passed out during all the.
That's assuming, sir, and you know what assuming means.
Are you not assuming as well that he is taken and there's a disappearance?
I'm theorizing. There's a difference.
And I'm not theorizing.
So you're theorizing that the daddy took them to the beach to camp and then decided to leave them there.
Yeah. That's why he was so adamant about forcing his both his children to go on this trip.
I'm with these stupid kids.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, I'll leave them. I wouldn't be. He was the one that pushed him off that cliff when he fell alone.
Yeah.
Just like old Sparta style. And that has two. That could be the Sparta from 300. Like, this is Sparta, into the pit you go. Or it could be how like Spartans actually treated their the children they didn't want and threw them off a cliff.
Oh yeah, true.
But yeah, no. Also, like, the thing is, like, what happened to Daddy? Did he get pulled in by the children of the sea too? Like, is he now drowned and like no one ever saw him again?
None of that said. So I personally think he's just passed out drunk in the camp.
Yeah, or he's just a paper cutout to get the plot device to get the characters to the campsite, and is no longer needed for the rest of the story. Even though this character, okay, I'm gonna bring it up now. The Daddy thing really kind of squeezed me out a bit. So this character narrator is a few years older than his younger brother, who's in middle school.
Yeah, she's a valley.
It just seemed. You know what? That's true. Nair could be a girl, and could be the way.
As soon as I read Daddy, I'm like, okay, she's a girl. Done.
Okay, you know what? That's a fair play. Yeah.
Guys are not wired to say that.
No. I was gonna say it's kind of weird for a kid, and I was thinking of a boy, because again we don't have a proper description of Nair or like anybody really in this story. Like they're just their brother. Or what have you, or the doctor, the Daddy, So, but yeah, I was going on the presumption that it was a boy that was narrating this. So you know what, that's a fair play though. It could be a valley girl, it could be a girl, because it is very weird for at least personally, I find it very weird that a boy older than middle school or older than a sophomore middle schooler to be calling your dad daddy. That just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, that's why I went with female. I'm surprised you didn't, because often when we're reading these stories, I default on guys because I'm a guy, and you default on girls a lot of the time, like unless it specifically says that's a guy.
Well, I tend to go with like the like if I don't know, I'll try to like gauge based on the story. But from gauging the story, it seemed like it was a guy, but I could be completely off topic, off the mark here.
Fair.
So
yeah, that was just dead giveaway to me.
So yeah, fair enough. And then you were saying, like, do I have the next thing in line?
Yeah. Because clearly you don't just isolate one sentence and talk about it, right? You talk about the things that surround the sentence.
So my next one here is he said that it would be healed immediately if he extracted it. Is that actually the right one? Is that the next one?
Yeah.
The next sentence? Okay. Yeah. He said that it would be healed immediately if he extracted it with a simple operation. So my brother underwent surgery on the same day. And to that like part, like honestly, this is a more of an actual thought than a grammar thing. But it was like it would immediately heal after it was extracted. Also with some antibiotics too. Like if the wound is as bad as it was described, like 2 weeks later, it's festering and like and looks like gangrenous. like you got to worry about sepsis with that kind of thing.
My whole point is it would not immediately heal.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
it would stop.
Yeah,
it would immediately be halted from getting worse, but it would not immediately heal itself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like it wouldn't heal exactly. You need antibiotics to stop the current issues that after the exotic art, like after the foreign object has been removed. That's great. You still need to pump that kid with antibiotics so that he doesn't like die of gangrene or sepsis.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm just saying the wording of it is weird because it sounds like the doctor is saying as soon as I take these out of him, his arm will close up and he'll be good to go with no other.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
But apparently I failed. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad we agree.
Good.
Moving on to the next one. So many hours have passed. Not to infringe on Mikey's patented conjunction junction here. But this sentence probably should be altered and maybe even lengthened, so it's not just this like really short sentence, and also so it doesn't have "so" at the beginning of it. Like it could easily just be many hours passed, comma, till finally the doctor came out to tell me the results of the operation. Period. Done. And then how we were saying earlier, like about like the sentences or like dialogue bits, like not having any like separation. They're all sort of just following the same lines, and they're just like going to the next line as they continue and stuff. That's my next quote actually. So these are all bits of dialogue. So first bit of dialogue: all foreign objects have been removed. Now the wound will heal quickly. Next dialogue: oh, thank you. Next dialogue: but how the hell did he get hurt? Yeah, but how the hell did he get hurt like that? Next dialogue: why? Is something wrong? Next dialogue: no, but ... This is a foreign object, and this is a foreign object inside ... End of dialogue. And those dialogue bits, they all follow the same like line. Like they don't like they need to be separated. Like space.
We're not tabbed down.
They're not tabbed down. They're just like that first dialogue, and then like a space, and then the next dialogue, then another space, then dialogue, and then it goes down to the next line because they ran out of room on that page or on that line, and so on and so forth. So yeah, needs a tab down to separate the dialogue because it can get really confusing. Like I think halfway through that, I wasn't even sure if it was the doctor or the brother or the doctor or Nair that was talking.
Me too. Right at the point where the doctor's like, okay, so the doctor's like, all foreign things have been removed. The wound should heal quickly. And then Nair, this is how I read it. Nair responds by
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, thank you, but how the hell did he get hurt like this?" And then the doctor says,
Exactly.
"Why, is something wrong?" Like, you're the fucking doctor. You should know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh no, that's actually because you almost miss the quote at the end quote of the next dialogue bit.
Yeah.
And also regarding the last bit of dialogue from the doctor, I feel like it should have said, no, but ... this was the foreign object inside, and then like shows Nair the
You and
objects.
your tenseness.
I'm sorry, man. It's something I it really grinds my gears.
Also, shouldn't it be these were the foreign objects because it's multiple?
I mean,
It's fingernails.
this is where we get this is where we get into an issue because like they're paired together, so it's like this was the bundle of foreign objects.
Yeah, which also sounds plural. So you're agreeing with me. Good.
Yeah, honestly, it could be these were. Yeah.
Like saying if some dude gets shot 14 times and then like the doctor says this was the foreign object inside and drops 14 bullets on the table.
A bundle of bullets.
That seems weird. It would be these were.
Yeah, no, you're correct. And then my last grammar inquisition. I still can't believe the little girl he told me about. Oh, fuck, I fixed it. I still can't believe the little girl he told me. But I still get goosebumps when I think of the bloody bundles of hair and raw nails the doctor showed me. And the correction here, I feel, should be, I still can't believe the little girl he told me about. Because that's it. That part of the sentence just ends. And it goes to like, but I still get goosebumps, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So, also, the story, I felt like the story changed what the child was, like what gender the child was, all like off and on. Or maybe I was just getting confused while reading the story because like there's times where I thought the child was a boy that was biting into the kid's arm, and then now it's being said the little girl. So it's like, was it a boy or a girl that was the ghost, or that was the child in the water or on the water? So
I said girl.
Yeah, but there was a couple of times like when he was like when Nair was trying to get information from their brother, that I thought it said like the boy or like he was, but maybe they were referencing the brother. So I was left a little confused by the end of the story, if it wasn't noticeable by now.
But rereading that entire thing, I can't say one way or another. It wasn't a problem for me, so I don't know.
All right, fair enough. But that is the end of my grammar acquisition / actual thoughts. So I guess, Mikey, or unless you had something. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like the reason. I don't know why I said no. Then I started saying words.
Yeah.
I think maybe the reason that you forgot it was a girl maybe is because like it was originally described as a girl, but when it started being horrifying and attacky, then your mind went to male because it wasn't specifically saying one way or another. Just because.
Well, no, because I thought I read actually even in my notes here with the sentences that it was a like they reference it as a he, but again it could just be like the problem with the wording in the story.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I will digress. That is the end of my grammar inquisition / actual thoughts. Mikey, the stands for evil. Your grammar inquisition.
All right. I have a couple. Still, he said he couldn't swim because he was afraid. He hung on a buoy and desperately asked me for help. So I credited it to he hung onto the buoy.
Yeah,
because he's not on it at that point.
Yeah, if he was on the buoy, he'd be like out of the water and off the top, like basically like at the top of the buoy, not on top of it. Yeah.
All right. And then I have a conjunction junction.
Okay. And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
It happened 3 years ago when my family went to a campsite on the beach to play. But when I hoisted him onto the boat, he had no hair on his body, and the wound on his arm could not be a finger piercing. So many hours have passed. Finn.
Wow. Wow.
I was expecting more.
So was I, honestly. I was like, when you like, add on to a conjunction, I was like, oh god.
Here comes the second rundown.
Yeah, I was like, and now for a reading. I was like, no, wow, I'm surprised that the story only had like 3 or 4.
Mhm. Basically, Nair just picking up some completely bald person that's bleeding from the arm and just going on a quiet little trip on the lake.
Oh my god. Nair is one of the camp counselors who rescued Jason Voorhees from drowning at Camp Crystal Lake
Yep,
in the 70s.
definitely. Pretty much.
Wow. My god. Thus, pulling us away from the dark timeline where Jason Voorhees becomes a revenant monster and kills everybody at Camp Crystal Lake. Yeah. Yeah. And Gamer, the reason we the reason we do this is
sorry. And the reason Mikey strings these sentences together is to highlight all the ones that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ands, buts, so's. There's always better words.
Yeah. And also for us to get a potential nugget of gold, of comedy gold from the out of context situation here. Because every line is read separately. Out of context. Gamer!
All right. I couldn't understand what he was saying, so I lifted my younger brother from the buoy to the top of the buoy. So it kind of sounds like he doesn't really move him at all, because it's saying, like, I'm moving from the buoy to the buoy. You know, it's saying the same thing twice.
Wait, really? Yeah.
I understand what it's trying to say. I lifted him because he's, like, hanging onto the buoy, so lifted him from his hanging position half in the water on top of it, so he's out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
So the way I rewrote it was, I couldn't understand what he was saying, so I lifted my brother out of the water and on top of the buoy, instead of doubling down on your buoys.
Mm-hmm.
And going through all the ones that I already chimed in on. For some reason, he felt like he shouldn't make eye contact. And if he made eye contact with something, it felt like he was going to die. The something part was, I'm suggesting a correction to change it to, and if he made contact with the child, it felt like he was going to die, because that's the focus of this scene here. Not just anything.
Yeah, like, he stares at the buoy, he dies.
Yes, he stares at the water, he dies. Hey, look, a seagull, he dies.
He stares at... Fuck, man, that's weird. I was just about to say, like, he stares at a seagull, he dies.
Wow.
Why are we so in sync today?
I don't know, we should start a boy band.
I was just thinking that too, damn it.
How dare you? Okay.
God damn.
I don't know, we're on the same page, apparently.
Yeah.
Page 14.
Well, I mean, this page is only like a page and a half.
Oh, that's true.
So.
Yeah. All right. The child was stabbing my brother's arm with her fingers, and her hair was wrapped around his body. Using the word stabbing kind of sounds like it was multiple stabs, but there's only one wound. So unless they're surgically precise with their stabbing, it should.
Yeah, or unless there's signs that it was like stabbed in the same place multiple times.
Also, there's way too many instances of brother in this story. So some of these should just be replaced with his or him.
Or even, give us a name.
Yes and no. Because I get why some stories don't have names. Because you can associate it to your own life and family setting.
I suppose, yeah.
So I get it. But, yeah. And the way that the story is laid out, there isn't too many confusing situations. Oh, I say that, but there isn't too many confusing situations where there's multiple people. And it's hard to keep track of them. Maybe easier for me because I assumed that Nair was a girl from the get-go. So I assumed that all the Nair things weren't he's. So every time it said he, you may have been confused whether or not they're talking about themselves or someone else or the brother. And you weren't sure about the child, so that could have also been a he.
I think part of it also was like because the way some of the errors are in the story, like his brother and stuff like that. That's maybe where I was attributing the gender of the narrator was that like
Ooh.
because in the errors it is saying like his brother constantly, so it's like maybe that was it.
How many his brothers are there? There are 2 his brothers.
There's like 2 or 3, but I mean it's enough for me to like misconstrued like because I at the start of the story I just went with like gender neutral like narrator.
Yeah, I didn't even clue into that.
Yeah,
I
so I think maybe, and again,
my
like
ways because of Daddy.
I know that's no. Honestly, yeah, the daddy thing you brought up a good point. Like because the way they say daddy, it's like okay, that maybe it's a Valley Girl style protagonist.
Yes. Either way, back to the stabbing.
Which actually would also make sense because like at least generally in like an older sister will sometimes like on family trips will like try and get their younger sibling to like play, like kind of like swim around and play with them and stuff like that, like to kind of cheer them up from being grumpy. At least in my family unit, so that's been the case in the past, and like also in fiction that tends to be something that happens. They're either super bitchy, or they are like actually like they're trying to like help out their younger brother with things. So
indeed. Anyways, as I was saying, back to the stabbing.
Yeah.
So the way that I would correct the whole
sorry.
Anyway, the way I would correct this is just simply the child had stabbed his arm with her fingers instead of was stabbing.
Yeah.
Also, that is a tense issue, which you should appreciate because was stabbing is current compared to had stabbed.
Yes. There was a moment where I was like, wait, was it? Is it? Fuck. Yeah, no, legit. It's like gauging.
Yes. And that is the end of my grammar in yellow.
All right. So on to your guys' actual thoughts, because I think I've said my piece for the most part.
All right. My actual thought here. First one. The campsite was on a cliff, and from there down the stairs there was a clean sandy beach. So the visuals, like when you say cliff, I think of a huge rock face.
Yeah.
It might only be like 5 feet.
Like I this is like because again where I have my cottage and stuff like that, part of the island is on an elevated piece of land, and there is like a cliffside, like kind of a cliff embankment, but it's like only like 30 feet high tops, I think. But there is a cottage on the cliffs at the top of the cliff, and there's stairs that go down the high embankment to the beach below. So that's I get, but at the same time, like I visualized, I rationalized that was what was the case here, was like the campground's at the top of this elevated land, and there's a nice beach at the bottom. But because this is being critically silly, I immediately thought that this was like a very sheer cliff, and like it's like the campground's like right at the edge of it,
and like you can't see the bottom because it's so far up.
Yeah, it like Goofy falls off.
He goes poof through the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is my fault because I've been watching videos of the latest Minecraft update, which is the Cliffs and Caves update.
Really?
So it shows a lot of cliff that in Minecraft, if you were to fall and there's no water, you die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind was at.
That's side point, tangent. If you have a bucket of water with you and you're falling, could you throw that underneath yourself to cushion your fall? I know you can carry water.
If you're timing, well, I think the problem is it needs to be like 2 water deep to.
I thought it was 3, but maybe they've changed it. Like I haven't played the game in like 5 years, so
yeah. Well, it has to be, I think, at least 2 deep for that to save you, and a bucket only has 1, so
yeah.
Was there really only 1 cube per bucket? Or plus
Yep.
it flows and everything, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
However, actually, yeah, if you drop the water in the middle of the air, does it not form a waterfall for a moment? So you can, and I know when you in Minecraft, when you go into waterfalls, you can swim up the waterfall, even if it's and not take damage. So
The thing is, it won't let you place it just in the air. It has to be connected to a block.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd really have to time it just
And even
right.
so, it only
And-
makes one block, so it wouldn't be enough to actually halt your death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's unfortunate because that would be MLG as fuck.
that would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's equivalent to in Battlefield having a jet up in the sky with a dude chasing you, dogfighting you, and then you eject out of your jet, pull out your rocket launcher, turn around, shoot him, get back in your jet, and continue flying. People do that.
Oh my god!
They
God!
freaking showcase that in the trailer for the new Battlefield. Like they're actually
So they rocket joust?
yeah. Send you a clip of it.
Oh my
Anyways,
god! Please do.
Continue though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we already mentioned where's the parents, and then this Nair, I'm guessing, has to be at least 18 years old.
Yeah.
To be considered, I guess, a sort of legal guardian to be able to even talk to the doctor.
Yeah. So because you said like legal guardian, like before you did the doctor thing, I was like, be a legal guardian since the parents have suddenly mysteriously vanished from the scene.
And then we have already covered that it probably isn't English being their first language.
Yeah. And I mean, even if it is like, again, the like it might just be like their first attempt at writing a story, and they're doing it quickly, they're posting it online. Again, I don't want to be too like seriously like too hard on them. Like I'm for most of my like my stuff referring to the author, it's more been like of a joking kind. But like and we are with our grammar inquisition stuff, we are actually trying to help like fix the story. So like there's no actual ill intent toward the author if this is also the case and some of that. Yeah. It's just the story is coming off very rough when we read it. So
all right. So my next actual thought here. Here's the quote. With that said, the foreign objects that the doctor showed me from my brother's arm were a large bundle of long hair and raw fingernails that looked like they had been pulled out whole.
oh.
And before it got to that point, and they explained that they had to take something out, I was expecting maybe one fingernail. Just because of the fact that the size of the wound is only 2 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of a puncture wound. So, how so much hair and more than one fingernail doesn't say how many fingernails, just more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to add up for me.
Fair. However, the way that I thought it all went through is it said earlier fingers in regards to like the puncture, in regards to the stabbing. So, like my own index and middle fingers are around 4 centimeters wide, but the attacker was someone who was a child, and a child compared to Denny, a high schooler. So even smaller. So it's theoretically possible that it could be like the index and middle finger of a small child could be like 2 centimeters wide, like that puncture. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a kid of that age to measure their fingers here and check the validity of this.
I mean, I could go and ask the niece cultist, but that seems like a lot of work. Also, I guess I did have something I wanted to bring up involving this. Given the potential for like a supernatural element to the story, I was I was actually kind of hoping that it wasn't just going to be and regarding like what they found, like the foreign objects they found in the wound, the hair and the fingernails and stuff like that. I was actually expecting it to have a little bit more to it, like maybe there's something else in there aside from those two things, and that the brother had been fairy blasted, which is an anomaly that happens on the East Coast, specifically around Newfoundland, where people go into to like the doctor and stuff like that to report like a wound or like a wound that is like infected for and has like some kind of foreign bodies in it. And when they pull out the foreign bodies, it's like bits of hair, nails like this, but also like sticks and like seashells and like stones and stuff like that. And they call it fairy blasting because it's like basically a wound. Like it means that like because Newfoundland has a lot of heritage to Ireland, and so they have a lot of fairy folklore stuff kind of associated with them. So they've been like they get blasted by like a fairy charm, and that the wound that charm leaves, it has like just random anomalous like bits of detritus in the wound that like have no reason to be there otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So I was almost kind of wondering if this story like this ghost girl, or like, 'cause I kind of got the idea that this was like some kind of like supernatural denizen from the ocean or from the sea, that the brother had encountered. I was kind of like hoping like maybe it was some kind of like sea fae or something like that, or like maybe a Fomori or something that they had encountered. Hence why he was getting that weird feeling that if he looked at it the wrong way, he would die.
That's fair.
But yeah.
And that's the end of my action with that.
Okay. And Gamer.
Okay, what do I have left? But when I hoisted him onto the boat, he had no hair on his body, and the wound on his arm could not be finger piercing. So, again, the hair was on the child. Didn't necessarily stay on him. Like, just because there was no foreign hair on him doesn't mean that the kid was lying, basically, is what I thought. Especially, it sounds like this is a supernatural creature, so the hair doesn't even necessarily have to be hair. It could be a glamour over like tentacles or some weird squid creature for all we know.
Yeah. Or if we wanted to go with the like, again, we also don't know where this could also be anywhere in the world, like on the coastline. It doesn't necessarily have to be America. If it was in Japan, it could be one of those yokai that are just they just have hair. It's like where we get where the inspiration for like Sadako and like The Grudge with the like the long black hair. Like there is actually you see it a lot in J horror where there's just like hair creeping in from like the seams of buildings or like just around your house and stuff like that, and it's just like black hair everywhere, like black long hair everywhere. I kind of got like that impression almost to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could be it could be hair, but it could be like a creepy type of hair, like where it's just like black hair where it don't belong.
Yep. Or it's glamored up and it's meant to be something else that's like it's taking a more mundane appearance to try to quote unquote hide as it's sitting there laying in wait for its prey.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid tells a story, and Nair says, well, I thought he had a dream or something in regards to like rationalizing the story. But I'm pretty sure the kid didn't dream up the stab wound, so I don't know. It's probably not a dream.
I'm pretty sure that it seemed like they were trying to rationalize it, but they didn't do a good job of presenting that rationale in the story.
Yeah, like maybe it's them saying that my brother probably cut his arm on something while swimming, and like through blood loss he started hallucinating or something like that.
Yeah, like maybe he was just seeing things, kind of thing.
And then this line here: about 2 weeks after returning from the campsite, my brother's wounds were getting worse and worse. The wound was even festered and swollen to a terrifying degree when I took him to the hospital. So I waited 2 weeks after getting back from your camping trip to get him checked out. Hell, it sounds like you didn't even go home early. You stayed at the campsite to continue your little vacation. Wow.
Yeah.
Worst sister ever. Worst group of people ever, actually, because there's like a ton of people around the campsite, and no one went, he's been stabbed. He should go to the hospital.
Yeah, like no one called honestly, an ambulance should have been called. Like, from the get-go.
Or like their father, Daddy, been like, oh, what happened to Denny? Whatever his name is.
Yeah. Oh, Lisa, what
Yeah.
happened to Danny?
Oh, now the father's telling me what's up.
Yeah.
No, it's Tammy. It's what's female? Jesus. Not Temmie. Temmie's no.
Thomasina?
Tammy. There we go. Be Tammy Wiseau.
Oh god. Yeah. So, oh no, I got it. The dad's name is Greg, or name's
yeah.
Mark. It's like, what's going on? What's going on here?
That's true. That's why he doesn't pay attention. He doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Misses everything. Yeah, that's the end of my notes.
Okay. So move on to final thoughts then. I like the very core idea here is like that there's this weird thing in the water, in the ocean, that attacked the brother, and when they got him checked out, when they got the wound checked out, there was like this grisly like revelation that it was like some creepy hair and fingernails that they found inside the wound, and they've never gone back to the ocean since. I like that core concept for a story, but I could do with a bit more involving the like what that is in the story, like what the girl in the water was, like maybe a little bit more of an encounter than just like, because really from this point of view, like this story is sort of a show don't is sort of a tell don't is telling us stuff and not showing us, because the person that's being that's the headline or the headliner for the story isn't the one being attacked, or the one that's responding to the person that's being attacked. We should be getting the story from the brother, or the brother should be telling their sister a lot more in-depth story about what happened over at the buoy, for us to like kind of get more invested into like what is exactly is going on and why like this is creepy, like also what happened to Daddy, because he just fucked off. So yeah, I could do with a little bit more kind of like maybe switch the perspectives a little bit, or like have this be like from the perspective of Nair, like the sister who rescued her brother, but then have the brother tell the story so that the sister can transcribe it for this story, like sort of like give us a like this is her side of things, like she went and rescued her brother, and then we're going to get the side from the brother, like of this account of what happened out there, to kind of build up the creepiness and like kind of elaborate on that stuff. So and then I could use a lot of editing for this story, because yeah, again, this just felt like a very rough first draft of a story, where it was just rushed onto page and then submitted online.
Also, before we continue, in regards to Daddy and such, he may not be in the story because he's not important to the story. Because, like, for example, there's tons of people there. They shouldn't all be named.
Yes.
They shouldn't all be the story.
However, I get that. Like, yeah, like I'm not expecting him to be like a fully fleshed out character, but maybe at least reference that, like, he took them home, he took them to the doctors, true. like because he's the one that took them to this campsite. For fuck's sake,
he could be a loading screen if nothing else.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he just needs, if his entire point in this entire story is to be the plot device that moves them from place to place, then he has to stay in the story as that plot device. Yeah. Otherwise, he's not even important. Like, it could just be, 3 years ago, I brought my brother, who's kind of angsty and didn't want to go on this trip to kind of like help bond with him. However, even when I wanted to swim and play with him, he just kind of wanted to bug off and do his own thing. So I let him do that, let him brood a little bit, like kind of maybe even build up a little bit more. It's like he'd been like acting this way because of some reason, yada yada yada. So I was letting him like kind of do his own thing until I heard him scream out by the buoy, and I rushed up to help to rescue him. That way, it's like we get rid of the daddy completely, and just have that the character is like the character that the Nair, she brought her brother to the camp, and all this kind of stuff ensued. Make her more responsible as an adult. Damn it! Hell,
she's doing that in this entire story. Anyway.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, like Daddy doesn't need to be there at all. He was just there at the beginning, then he left. He walked away, never to be seen again. So, but yeah, getting back to what I was saying for my final thoughts. Yeah, and editing wise, like the story needs a lot of it. Like every other sentence, if not all the sentences of the story, I think we tackled in one way or another. And again, this is not an attack on the author, because like this might be their first time writing or some other situation or circumstance that, like, I get that happens. And like our joking aside, we are trying to help make the story the story read better. So
yeah, pretty much we're given just a first round of editing over it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're just also having a little bit of fun with it on the way, because otherwise this would be very dry. So, and unfortunately, because of the first draft roughness of the story, despite my interest in the very core concept of the story, I just can't recommend it. It needs to go through a couple of rounds of editing before I would consider recommending it. But that is my recommendation and my final thoughts. So, Mikey, D stands for evil.
I'll basically say the same sort of thing you started off with, which was that I like the concept of there being something in the water. Although they did leave him unattended for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So that's a
in the ocean too. Yeah. Yeah, like in a lake, I could maybe like forgive that, but like in the ocean's a lot different, like than a lake. Like oceans have stronger rip tides. There's sharks. There's
swordfish.
Just the swordfish. There's a cornucopia of marine life that will harm, if not kill you, in the ocean, and like. They can come up to shore, like they can come as close to shore as they want. Like I've seen drone footage of like a beach in like Miami, and it's like a drone going over like it's very shallow water on a beach, and you just see a shark just swimming amidst people who are in the water, and they have no fucking clue, and they're like they're all standing, like it's only a couple of feet of water.
Like the shark's tummy's rubbing against the freaking sand of the bottom, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, like for the amount of time they left that child in the water, that Nair and the daddy should be glad that the kid is even alive.
Yeah.
Not to take your spot again, sorry.
It's recording.
I will continue to, because I have that problem.
That's your bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and there's so many grammar issues, as we pointed out, and if there was more to the story and it elaborated on some point, like where did Daddy go, and if he's just a fast travel situation, that'd be fine. But there's nothing there, and we need more.
Yeah, I do feel like that could be a subject to explore if you wanted to like build up the story a little bit more. Is like, what is the reason Daddy's no longer in the scene? Like part of the mystery here, or part of the situation here.
Yeah. So overall, I'm not going to recommend it either.
Yeah. Okay. Gamer, you're up.
Okay, so first off, I don't know why you guys have such an obsession with Daddy. Like, it sounds like that is the pivotal part of this story that is swaying your entire decision, is whether or not daddy makes an appearance or not.
Listen, gamer, we have some daddy issues.
Apparently, you have daddy issues. Issues in regards to daddy. However, I didn't really share that thought. It's like he was there. I forgot it that he was there. He was gone. Whatever.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
That's the point.
I know, but so doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it anyways. It needs a quick pass of editing, obviously. Also might be due because the writer may not have English as a first language, which has been said before, so we can't fault them. However, the grammar problems were more than just simple spelling errors, but like it changed what was going on, and it made it hard to understand what was going on because of the choices that were made.
Yeah.
The story itself, though, actually before that, like for example, with the kid in the water, and he's saying like there was a child there, and she had clothes on. Like he says that like that's a weird thing that's going to come up, but then it doesn't come up, and then he keeps saying like people, like there's like talking about plural, but again, it doesn't come up. Like it was prime. There's a real good reason to like sit down with him again and talk to him. Like maybe after all this, he's paranoid or whatever, and he goes to a therapist, and the therapist actually gets him to open up more about it. And the therapist gives Nair a transcript of, I don't know if they'll do that because of.
Well, at this point, Nair is the legal guardian of the brother. So
that's fair. Well, either way, maybe through that he opens up more and explains more of exactly what happened because maybe he blocked it out in the moment or whatever, and describes that there was a bunch of people down there, and the reason that he thought it was weird that it had clothes on was because when he first saw it, it was a fucking squid, but with clothes on. And then like he blinked, and then it was a little girl because it was like slowly building its glamour up, or something like that. Just something, you know.
It would also be. I do agree that like it would be kind of weird to like to see a fully clothed like person just in the water, like because like that's not like generally people if somebody's in the water and they're fully clothed, that's not how it's supposed to like not generally like you're not doing that on purpose.
I see what by wearing clothes it means not wearing a bathing suit. Like,
that's what it meant.
Suit is clothes, though.
I know, but so why did but like maybe it should have been clarified. It's like, but not like bathing suit, but like everyday clothes. They
were fully clothed as a child.
Yeah,
okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and to your actually, I'm gonna take you a little bit here, and just roll with it for a second. Okay. The idea of like coming back to the story like later, like having like the therapist like transcript of what happened, or even like hell, it's been 3 years. The brother now finally feels comfortable talking about what he actually saw, or like maybe he's recalled it more and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that could be this like follow. And Reddit Nosleep stories do this a lot, where they do like a part 1 and a part 2, and they keep and they do like sort of like a series of stories.
Yeah,
that could be the part 2 for this story after it's been cleaned up and edited and stuff. That was 3 years ago, and the character our narrator is telling the story like now, like just like recounting it, and then the next story, like the part 2, is when like in the present day they've talked to their brother about what happened that day after posting this online, and gotten even more information from him, and it was a lot more weird and like fucked up. Like he saw people in the water, like under the water, reaching for him or something.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the grammar and inconsistencies and non-clarity stuff aside, the story itself wasn't bad. It's a simple "don't go to the blank or blank will get you" story. But the creature is weird, and it's interesting, and I'm curious what it even was. So overall, I'll give it a partial recommendation, honestly. But it obviously needs a round of editing. But what's there is good, and it's worth cleaning up and elaborating on and expanding on, as you said, with potentially a second story.
Okay. Wow. I guess a partial recommendation out of 3.
Mm.
And again, I would like to preface like I'm not recommending it as it is. If it got edited and stuff like that, I'd reread it and see how it is, and maybe give it another recommendation. Give it a recommendation, but as it is, I can't.
For me, it's like if I'm going to not recommend something, it kind of has to either be like the story itself just doesn't work well for me, like the actual concept of the story, and the grammar stuff's bad. But if it's just bad grammar, but the story has some meat on it, that's what I give a partial for. Otherwise, I would agree with
That's
you.
fair.
Like it was rough to read because of all the grammar issues.
Yeah. Also, I think another reason why we wouldn't recommend something is if it was forgettable.
That too.
Yeah, because we've had a couple of those on the show.
You say that, but like I'm pretty sure we didn't recommend Sonic or Spyro EXE, but we remember them.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's other ones that we've forgotten.
Well, I'm just also saying like because there's that's been a like kind of an ending point for you on certain stories. It's like nothing like there's not. It's sort of the story's sort of forgettable, so that's why I can't recommend it. Like I do recall that. Oddly enough, I remember that you don't like things that are forgettable
Because I forgot.
Yes. But yeah, so. And yeah, if this is somebody's like first attempt at a story, it's commendable. It's just it needs some editing. It needs a lot of editing for me. So
For all of us,
but,
no one is agreeing with you here.
Yeah. Wait, no one's agreeing with me here?
No one is disagreeing with you.
Okay, yeah. All right. And that has been this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below. This gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W, because his name is very long.
Yeah.
And I'm at Review Cultist. And if you'd like to send us emails, you can go to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, Reddit No Sleep Stories. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons helping support our show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it would be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, without your attempts to spook and scare and share online the stories that you write, for better or worse, like, again, we picked at the story like almost in its entirety. But we do it because we want to see the story grow and be better. And if you didn't have the courage to post those, like your stories out there online for people to look at and be seen by the internet, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we have nothing to talk about. We wouldn't be sitting here discussing and effectively editing the story for you, and giving you constructive feedback and criticism for it. So, thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
Stop the outro music. Hang on. One thing I forgot. This is a Reddit No Sleep story.
Mm-hmm.
And the title is 3 words long.
Yeah. I'm surprised no one else, like, I was waiting for you guys to bring it up at the beginning of our episode.
Yeah, I blame my layout for my notes because I have like the episode number, the title, the URL, title thoughts, and then the location, the cast, then the grammar in yellow, then the notes. But I didn't check up into the title thoughts, so I'm gonna be changing the formatting in the future for this.
Yeah, and yeah, like we are so used to Reddit No Sleep stories being like a sentence to a paragraph long titled that, like, to have a story that is like at the beach, 3 fucking words on Reddit No Sleep. I was like, oh well, that story's never gonna get popularity.
It's the way it should be, though. I hate the long titles.
I know.
They're so annoying.
Yeah, no, 100%. The problem is, like, I think a lot of the reason why people do that on Reddit Nosleep is because it's clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, it's a clickbait title thing. Like, we went to the beach 3 years ago. You'll never believe what happened to my brother when he went out swimming alone by a buoy.
It's equivalent to putting like red circles and arrows on your thumbnail to your YouTube
Oh my
video.
god. Yeah, of the number of the top 15 spooky videos I found online that you shouldn't watch alone in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, I love watching those videos, but like I can also make fun of the tropes that have popped up as a result of, like, you know, YouTube, like countless YouTubers doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Again, it's really just a marketing thing. Like they know that it's like a clickbaity thing to do, but people, it's clickbaity for a reason, because the general populace will click on those things.
Mm.
Yeah, I was actually, bravo to the author for giving us a short and succinct title for a Reddit Nosleep creepypasta.
Yes.
Like, if I had not found this on Reddit Nosleep, if I had not been the one to give us this story, like, and like to send it to you guys and such, like to my hosts, I would have thought that this had come off of like creepypasta.wiki. I thought it would have just been like a creepypasta that we found on one of the wiki sites.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, all right, can I shut off the lights now? Can I?
Yeah. You can start the outro music again.
All right.